Hello there! Today I am testing for you, not really testing, I'm actually going to be just talking about my thoughts on these two very popular felt tip liners. From the title of this video you will know that this is the MAC felt tip liner or felt tip liner by MAC and the ink liner by KATVOND. The reason I'm talking about these two is because they are the same price, $16.50 and like $16.90. They're supposed to do the same job, they're so very similar, and they're by two very popular companies, and yet for me they are so different in quality. So if you've seen any of my other videos, you will know that I really hate the MAC one, and I just don't understand why it's not working for me. What I'm thinking is it's either a really bad quality felt tip liner or I've got a dud. It was just manufactured wrong and it was sold to me and it's not actually supposed to work that way, and if I bought another one the chances are it would work better. What I'm going to do in this video is just demonstrate to you how it's not working and how it's just worse in comparison to this KATVOND one, which I think is like amazing. So right now on my face I'm not wearing any base because I was drinking yesterday and I fell asleep with some makeup on, and my face just feels very greasy and just icky, and I needed to wash it and like really deep clean it, so I don't want to actually put anything on it. What I did was layer a few shadows on my eyes just to go with a winged liner look. So this is what I'm going to attempt to do ultimately with both of these liners, so that you see the difference between how they work for me. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in seeing my take on these two felt tip liners and showing you how they work and how they perform and pros and cons, and just basically a show off of both of these. If you're interested in that, please stay tuned. I basically just want to show you both of these. Both of them are in the same shade, black, although both of them call them different. The KATVOND one is Trooper and the MAC one is the Penultimate Black, I think. No, it's Rapid Black. But it's the Penultimate liner. So these are the felt tips. As you can see, they're very similar. The KATVOND one is a little bit longer, but both of them kind of come to the same sharp point. What you will notice though is that the KATVOND one is much sturdier. If I do this, and I don't know if you can see it, the very tip of it, the very tip of the MAC one actually bends. It actually bends, there is no sturdiness to it. So the problem with that is whenever you're actually drawing a wing, like it will actually bend under the pressure, and I've already explained this in one of my other videos. The tip will bend under the pressure and you'll never be able to get it like precise and very clean. Sometimes the tip, when it bends to one side, it will actually start leaving marks next to where you're drawing. So I mean it can just become a mess. Whereas the KATVOND one is pretty sturdy, it doesn't do that. It would if I applied more pressure, but I'm applying the same amount of pressure and it's actually staying, it's not giving way, if you like. So these are some swatches that I already did because this is the second take on this video, but as you can see, one of them is much darker than the other, and of course it is the KATVOND one, it's much darker. So this is the MAC one. I'm going to swatch it for you again just on camera. It swatches like this, and honestly, like when you look at it, it's like, oh okay, well it's fine, it's not too bad, but then you actually swatch it next to like a really good liner and you're starting to see the difference. Because in swatching, you're like, when you're swatching it in the shop, and I'm going to zoom this out again, when you're swatching it in the shop, and as you could see there, you know, clearly one of these lines is darker, but if you don't have a comparison and if you're just swatching it in the shop, you're like, okay, well it's black, you know. It's only until you go to put it on your face, you're like, why is this not, like, it's not really that dark, it's not really there, it's not giving me enough. And I asked this girl at the store, at the MAC store, you know, if it's any good. I'm actually holding the KATVOND one. If it's any good, if she would recommend it. And she said, oh my god, yeah, it's like really good, I use it myself. She said sometimes you need to layer it, you need to just go over it again if you need it to be really black. And that didn't really like ding with me at that point. But right now I'm thinking, you know, if you're gonna draw like a spectacular wing that there's no way you could ever replicate it on the other eye, never mind like going over it again. One, it's more room for error, and two, who wants to do that? Who actually wants to apply their wing and it takes, you know, a couple minutes and like it's really stressful, and then being like, oh, it's not really black, I want to go over it again. Like, if I'm paying for something from MAC, from a brand like MAC, I want it to go on, dry down, not move, and be black, and I just want it to work, right? And this is something that the MAC one for me just doesn't do. Then when you actually swatch the MAC one next to this KATVOND one, you can see the difference. You can see how this one is just grey in comparison to the real black. So that's my problem with it. I'm gonna just let you see what this does. I'm gonna do the KATVOND one first on this eye, and then I'm gonna do the MAC one here. And I'm gonna try and just draw a wing. Don't judge me if it doesn't work. I'm gonna try. We'll see how it does. But you'll see what I mean with the MAC one. The other thing with this one that I just want to mention quickly is that I don't know why, but they put this little like spring mechanism inside of the lid. So it just gives you this really satisfying like feeling when you close it. I don't know why they did that. So it's this little spring. If I were to like let this nut close and let this go, it just shoots up. Okay, so we're nice and zoomed in. I'm gonna try and position myself, and I'm just gonna try and draw a nice little wing. Here we go. This is like not bad. So it still takes a minute, and especially on camera when I don't really have it positioned very well and my elbow isn't able to rest on anything because I need to like hold it high enough for the camera. And yeah, I was able to draw this. I think this, you know, goes with the shadow. It was just easy to apply, and I hope you were able to see that I was able to do a number of things with this. I was able to like just thread really lightly and give myself literally just barely touch, and give myself a guide first, so that if I fucked it up, it would just be like the tiniest you know, amount of pigment put down, and I would be able to just wipe it off easily or just draw on top of it and it would be fine. And then I was able to actually press quite hard, and as you could see, especially with the top bit, I was able to just make that point and draw quite just one smooth line, just a whoosh like that, and it left a proper line. What the MAC one fails to do altogether. Bear with me and me trying to like set my camera, but I'm basically going to do the same thing. I'm just gonna try, even with drawing the line on your upper lash line, this is difficult because it actually doesn't leave enough pigment on top of shadow. It's honestly just a mistake. And as you can see right now, yeah, I hope you can see, with the KATVOND liner, I was able to make a dot. I usually make a dot there so that I can get the symmetry right, so that I can just, you know, draw lines from and out to the dot. So that's where my wing would be. This has so little pigment that I'm actually unable to leave that dot, and if I press harder, the tip will bend and it will leave like a massive mark. So I have to work without any dots. Do you see this mess? Do you see how, because I had to bend this tip to actually make anything come out, this upper bit of the wing is actually less pigmented than the lower bit, because that's where the tip was bent and then dragged on top, and then the actual pigment came out more intense from like the middle part, basically, which is then obviously, you know, if you look at this, if you imagine this being bent right now, more pigment, as you can see, is coming out at the bottom there. So I literally have zero control. I'm unable to make that little sharp point because the tip of this literally has no pigment. And this is already a mess, and the more I tug at it, the more of a mess it's going to become. I hope you can see the difference now and what I mean. When I didn't have the tattoo ink liner from KATVOND, I did. I'm going to link those two up here right now, or up here because I'm turned around. Two like liner videos. It was whenever Sia released her Christmas album a couple of weeks ago, and I just did a little cool, like a 2-minute video of me doing a cool eyeliner look to that Sia song, to two Sia songs. And to make this work, because I didn't actually have the KATVOND one, I would actually take this Wet n Wild just wet liner, just liquid eyeliner, because this is obviously a brush, so you know, obviously this bends super easy. You don't have that much control with it, and I personally can't really make a really sharp wing with it. So what I was actually doing, because I wanted to have more control and like an actual precise tip, which this brush does have, it's just really easy, it just bends really easily. I was actually wetting this in this, because this pigment is really intense, it's really dark and black. This doesn't give me enough pigment through that tip. So I was actually dipping the MAC one in the Wet n Wild ink, and that's how I was able to make those videos. Right now, as you can see, I'll give you one last look at, you know, the comparison. KATVOND, beautiful wing, sharp point, easy. MAC, just fucking impossible to work with. Right, there's only about a minute left of the recording and I don't want to start a new one, so I hope you learned something from this. I hope that this was quite useful and you enjoyed the video, that if you're buying the MAC felt tip liner, if you're, you know, a fangirl for MAC and you really want to try it because you really want to support the company, please do make sure that what you get is what you want and what you're able to work with. Perhaps this is a dud, perhaps this is a manufacturing you know, issue or a mistake, and the actual, you know, a correctly manufactured MAC felt tip liner doesn't do what mine does. But if you're gonna buy it, please, please, please make sure that you know what you're going into. So I hope this video kind of shed some light. I would much more recommend just to go for the KATVOND one, because it's the same price, and to me it's much better. It's much darker, and it actually has only 50% of the contents of the MAC one, so it's twice as small for the same price. Sure, you could get more, but how much of the liner do you use anyway? I like it and I enjoy it, and I would recommend it above the MAC one. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, I hope you found it useful, and I hope to see you in my next video. And as always, subscription to my channel is optional. Bye!